Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Daybreak. I'm your host, Nicholas Sadowski. We have a fantastic show today, two amazing guests, and a great game. So let's get started. Last week, we filmed and released episode 4. I know I said episode 5 in there. The reason why I said episode 5 was because I thought that it would take longer to edit it, but it didn't. It was done in like a day, and I'm super happy, and it's all done. So if you haven't watched episode 4/5, if you're confused, go back last week and watch it. It is amazing, and huge thank you to the Bossy Studios and its crew and Mr. Bossy himself for everything. It's been truly amazing. Our last Bossy episode will come out the 25th of this month, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think the 25th. And I'm not going to check that because I don't want to right now. But I think it's either there or around the 25th. It's the last Sunday of August. No. Yes. Right. Yeah. So yeah, look out for that. That is with Bailey Rebufo and Faith Gagnon. Fantastic episode, super fun, so highly recommend you watch. But let's get into today's episode. We're going to start with our second guest today, as our first guest has yet to arrive. We had her sister on actually twice before. This is the first time that she's coming on, though. She has done a number of musicals and plays. She was just in one, and she's rehearsing for another one. So we've been trying to work out a schedule, and finally got one day, and we're super lucky to have her here. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Daybreak, Sarah Lacy.
Hello.
Hello. So, one, I find it hilarious because you logged on to Zoom on Natalie's account, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was talking to Sarah, right?
I forgot to say her name there.
Yeah.
But it is
But so, speaking of your sister, you and your sister have done a number of things together. Have you done everything together, or has it just been like a lot of things?
No, every show that we've done together. Yeah, we have yet to audition for a show and have one of us get in and the other one not. The day that day comes will be a very sad day. But yes, so far we've done everything together.
So you like working with your sibling?
Yes.
Has there been any problems? Like, I'd imagine if I were to work, and I actually, technically, he's my productions assistant, but if I were to work with my brother, I feel like it would get a bit rocky. Has it ever gotten like kind of tense or?
Usually not. Like usually when we have arguments and disagreements like siblings do, we usually keep it civil when we're like working together in theater. That's usually when we like actually work best together. So I can't really remember any times when we've had any like disagreements or just tension between us in the field.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I talked with Natalie twice about what her preferences with everything is. So, but your preferences would so you've done both musicals and plays. Which of those do you like doing more?
I do musicals more, and I say, yeah, I think overall I'm more drawn to musical theater because like I love dancing and singing as much as I love acting. But it is really close because I really do like plays too.
And you just had one either last week or 2 weeks ago, called the Secret Garden.
Yes.
Yes. And you're not auditioning, but you're doing another one now. So we've had to work around that schedule. So I talked with Natalie about the last one. So can you tell us anything about this one, or is it a
Yes.
secret? Okay.
Okay. So I'm rehearsing for 2 right now. The first one, we're going into Tech Week and we opened this weekend and then that will be done. It's called Find Your Light and it's a cabaret of just like a bunch of songs and dances that are kind of just about I don't know how to describe it, just kind of like I don't know, like finding your light, I guess. It's about like kind of theater coming back again after like COVID and stuff.
Right.
It's really nice. It's a really nice message. It's really fun to be a part of. So that one is going up this weekend. And in a couple of weeks we're doing Chicago, which we like rehearse for every day because it's kind of like summer camp, but it's basically just putting up a show. We just rehearse for it every day instead of like at night.
So you said you were listening for 2 things?
audition. Well, we're doing two things. We already auditioned. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Mhm.
So it opens next Saturday or Sunday?
Yes, the first one opens next Friday night.
Oh, nice. Unfortunately, I can't go watch that, even though I would love to.
Thank you.
Um, I will be down south. But I'm actually filming this the day before I have to go, so we're squeezing this very close. But what about, so I love doing Daybreak. I love it. I am actually before you came on, I was planning next year's set and everything just because I want to get ready for it and gather the funds required and everything. And there's certain qualities about doing this show that I love. I like talking. I like talking to people. I like designing. I like aesthetics, and I like doing stuff like this. So, what about performing and plays and musicals really makes you want to keep doing it over and over and over again?
Um, well, I think the biggest thing is probably just getting to work with all the people, all the friends that I've made, doing shows and things like that are like my best friends in the whole world, and I know that that's probably not going to change because, like, I don't know, like friends I have at school, they come and go, but the friends that I make doing theater, I've been friends with since I started doing it, and I don't anticipate that any of those relationships are going to have any sort of fallout just because of um, how similar everyone is, but like not too similar, but like everyone's really similar. Everyone has the same passion, so everyone gets along really well, and it's really nice. Um, and I think the other thing would probably just be, I don't know, the feeling that I get when I like perform, because there have been times when I've considered like, I don't know, doing less just because like I get kind of busy or like tired, but then like, I don't know, the feeling that I get when I go on stage and perform something is just like unmatched, and I
Hmm.
think that that feeling will always keep me in the field.
Now, I've asked everyone I've talked to about theater about this just because I'm just genuinely curious. Because when I perform, so in middle school, I performed at every single assembly to like open it up and do music and things. I think we had like one every month, so I did it every month. And there weren't any of those stage lights because I was in the pit and there weren't any lights or anything. It was like just open it up. So like I could see all like 600 students in this massive auditorium. I like seeing the people who I'm performing to. It's more comforting to me than seeing black. So to you, when you are performing on stage, do you mind the fact that you can't see the audience that well, or do you prefer the fact that you can't see the audience?
Actually, that hasn't really affected me ever.
Hmm.
I remember once I remember once we did a performance. I don't remember why the house lights were on, but it was when we did Wizard of Oz like 2 years ago, and it was the second weekend. And for one of the performances, the house lights had to be up, and I thought that it was gonna make like a big difference. Like I thought I was gonna be like, oh my god, I can see everybody. Like that's so scary, but it actually didn't make any difference at all. So I actually don't think I have a preference whether I can see the audience or not, and I don't really think it affects my performance. Sometimes I do like to try and find my friends if they come to see me in a show, like when the house lights are down. So it's kind of hard to see them, but no, it doesn't really affect me, I don't think.
That's good. I understand the point of it because like you want to believe you're in your own world and not have to focus on the other people. But speaking of the audience, I had Bailey. Well, no one actually who's watching this would have seen this yet, since it's going to come out in like a month. But a couple of days ago, I filmed Bailey Rebuffo's segment, and she was saying how one thing that she's going to have to work on is projecting to the back of the room when you're doing a performance. Now, is that something that when you started that you had to get, because like I talk on the louder side of things, but I don't talk loud enough to project to the back of a room. So is that something that you had to learn to do?
Yeah, that's still, yeah, that is definitely still, that's something I definitely still struggle with. Um, it's kind of hard because I don't often, like, I can't often tell how loud I'm being until I'm told that I need to be louder. Like, if I'm not projecting enough, I can't tell. Like, I don't know because when I act and when I perform, I do naturally project like a little bit, but I can't tell if it's not loud enough, and often it is not loud enough. So that is still something I definitely have to work on and always have.
Hmm. Now, so as someone who does theater, I have a question for you. I have many questions for you, but I mean, this is an interview, but I have this sort of off topic, well, not on topic, but when you're performing and like you have dialogue in my head, when someone says to protect the back of the room, I feel like you lose some authenticity with the way you're saying things. Have you found that to be true, or is that just something that I'm thinking incorrectly?
I have found that to be true a couple times, yeah. Um, Especially depending on what the scene is. If it's like a serious scene and people are like project more, I'm like, oh well, I know I have to do that, but like I kind of like lose a little bit of the I don't know, like the authenticity, like what you were saying. So yeah, I have found that to be true.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, in that instance, like if you're in like a sad scene where it's supposed to be soft, it's like, and then it's just like it's too like, but that's
Yeah.
not realistic. It's yeah. Now you have a ridiculous resume of shows that you've done. When Natalie came on the first time, I asked her to list all of them and it went on for like 2 minutes straight, just listing all the names. Now, out of all of these, from beginning to end, if you remember all of the experiences, which one of these performances would you say that you like learn the most from and like appreciate the most? If that is such a category that you can put in there.
I'm really glad you didn't say favorite because that would have been extremely hard, but that's a lot easier. Um, I think that the performance that I learned like the most from, like what you just said, was probably Mary Poppins, because that I was 11 when I did that, and it was my first like professional production that I did with adults. Like I did it at Bridgewater State
Oh,
University, a company called FPAC, and it was so fun. I learned so much from just like working with adults in like a real like professional setting. Um, and of course I was thrilled when I got in, so I have a lot of appreciation for that too. um yeah, and it is definitely one of my favorites too. It was so fun and I learned a lot.
and you don't do performances at school usually. You do
No,
them at like private things.
yeah, we do. I do most of my stuff at Cappuccini School of Performing Arts, um and then I do like other like shows that I just hear about and audition for.
Hmm. Is there a reason why you tend to stay away from the normal high school productions and tend to go towards the?
It's probably just because my whole life I've done like all the other stuff. Like if I had time to do the Norwell productions, I definitely would.
Okay.
There's a reason that my dad will do a musical next year, and I'm definitely going to make time for that because that's
Nice.
a very rare thing, and he never does musicals. Um, I do want to audition to try to go to festival either this year or next, because this year I'm going to be very busy, but next year, like when I'm a senior, because I do really like um, enjoy, because I don't get to do plays a lot and he does plays all the time, and I do think that it would be really fun to do a show at Norwell. So I really want to make time for that. It's yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I don't have the time. There's no other reason why I don't want to.
I think it's really lucky that your dad is the like theater person at the high school, so you get that bit of like an in for it. And although I can't speak too much on it since the license doesn't allow me to, unfortunately, you and your sister tag teamed in the movie that was produced at Norwell.
Yeah.
So this will probably be the last group of questions I ask you since we're running out of time. You've done musicals and plays and everything. What was it like going from that, where there's no redos, no cameras really, and nothing like that, to a movie scene?
I really liked it because it's a lot less stressful, because like obviously if you forgot something or messed up, you could just go ahead and do another
Hmm.
take. I appreciated not having to project as much too. That was nice. Um, yeah, I really liked that. It was fun. It didn't feel too different than what performing that scene in front of a live audience would have felt like, but it was just like a lot less stressful.
Good. And actually, you were lucky because you're sisters. You don't have to social distance. Like Ronnie, I don't know what her last name is, and I are not related. So like I have to stay on one side of the stage and she has to stay on the other side of the stage and we have to film, but you just got to do it like close, which is lucky. Um, and I have to say, I was there at the premiere. And your scene was one of my favorites. It was very good. I could see the ability to do this stuff. So you're very talented.
Thank you so much.
But we have just run out of time, unfortunately. But we have a game. It's called Objectively Difficult, and I've already explained this to you. But for the people who don't know, depending on the time, I have 4 or 5 objects. I'll describe them to you, and you have to guess what they are. You have a total of 2 hints. So off my description, you have a total of extra 2 hints, and you only have 2 guesses though. So 2 hints and 2 guesses off my description. So we did this with Malia Welch, and something I'm going to try and do is just release a game part of it so people get to enjoy it. So, but yeah, so let's get started. So I'll do this object first. I can't get too specific, as you know, because I don't want to reveal the object. So this object is made of metal. It is supposed to represent something in the physical world, and it resembles something in Boston. Now, I will say you don't have to guess. You can if you want. You don't have to guess what it's resembling. You just have to guess the object that it is.
Okay.
Like it can be very broad if you want.
Okay. Is it like a little like statue of some kind?
It's not a statue, but it's similar to that idea.
Okay.
But that's one guess.
Okay.
If you don't get it, I'll give you half a point if you don't get if you don't actually get it, because that was very close.
Oh my god.
If you have 2 hints, by the way.
Oh, I can like ask for a hint.
Yeah, you got 2 hints.
Can I have one of them?
Architects would love this type of thing.
Okay.
And it's 2 words, if that helps.
Is it like a little scale model of something?
Yes! It's a model building.
Yes.
So this is, I have a ton, I love these. I have like a ton of them in my room. It's a model of the Custom House in Boston. If do you know what that is?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you know this Boston skyline? Okay. Well, if it doesn't help, this is what it looks like. If that doesn't help, then
Okay.
yeah. So this next object is from a game, a very, very popular game from like, I don't know, 2 to whatever age. It is made of a very common material. And I figured out a way not to reveal what it is. That'll be my description for you.
Okay.
It's a very common material, and it's a very common game that kids love. And and it makes a mess. But it's easy to clean up. It's not like paint or anything. It's easy to clean up, but it does make a mess.
Okay. Can I have one of the hints?
It's made of wood.
Oh, is it a Jenga block?
Yes. This next object is an everyday object that offices and just normal people have. It's made of metal, and it ranges from color, like the color there's a wide variety of colors it can be. materials, like some are made of plastic, some metal. And yeah.
I'll take one of the hints.
It can clip on to things.
A paperclip?
Nope.
Ah,
Ooh. You have one more hint, by the way.
I'll take that.
It's impossible to steal from banks because they chain it to the desk for some reason.
I have a feeling I know what you're talking about, but I don't know like what.
It's a 3-letter word.
I'm trying to think of just like, you said it's like in offices and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be in an office though. Like I have one in front of me.
Yeah.
Every person ever has these.
Oh my god, I don't know. I feel like I want to get it wrong though, because like everyone has one.
I will request an answer in 30 seconds.
Okay. No, I don't think I have one. Like I have things, but none of them are 3 letters.
A pen.
Oh. Okay. Okay, at least that wasn't what I was thinking of, so I don't feel too stupid.
What were you thinking of?
I thought when you said it clips onto things, I thought it was gonna be like one of those,
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So ranges in different colors of ink. For some reason, chained to bank tables. Why? I don't know. Pens are not expensive. Doesn't matter. All right. This next item. Have you seen The Office?
Yes.
Okay. You may get this then. It appeared in episode 1 of The Office. It was a prank from Jim to Dwight. This is testing your office knowledge. From Jim to Dwight. And Dwight found out about it when he was trying to show pictures of his car to the camera because it was in his desk drawer and Jim put it there.
The stapler?
Yeah, stapler and Jello.
I had a feeling there was going to be a stapler on this at some point, so I'm glad I was right.
So I'll do one more object. This object is incredibly valuable. It is $800. Basically every person now has these. When they was in infancy, it did less. It was smaller, but also thicker. And new ones get invented every year.
Is it a phone?
Yes, it is a phone. All right, so, oh my God, perfect timing, 11:25. So, not Natalie, Sarah. The name tag is really messing with me. It was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on and finding time in your very busy schedule to accommodate this. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we now have Rose Hansen. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a wonderful, like so nice, just and caring, amazing person, fantastic at music and at poetry. She won Poetry Out Loud. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rose Hansen to Daybreak. Hello.
Hi.
I'm happy that we're able to do this. This has been crazy trying to set everything up. I am leaving tomorrow, so I've been trying to squeeze everything in before
No.
I go to Florida for a vacation. Well, it's not a bad thing. I'm going to Florida for a vacation, but like I want to fit everything in before I leave.
Definitely.
And
So glad I was able to squeeze in too.
I will be editing this on the plane, and when I land, it'll be done.
Oh, can't wait.
So I mentioned that you did poetry out loud.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to offend you. I don't love poetry.
I'm leaving. Bye, Nick. I mean, it was nice. I'm glad we tried to schedule this, but no.
Well,
that is A-okay.
The reason why I say that is because, like, this for some reason, I don't love acting with Natalie. And Sarah. The name tags are still confusing me, unless they look the same. I just get confused. I just call them Lacy because I don't know who's, but I'm curious as to what you find appealing not in a bad way, like about poetry, like what Sarah finds appealing about acting, like what you find appealing about poetry.
Definitely, yeah. So honestly, it's one of my favorite things when people tell me they don't love poetry, because then I get to explain why I think it's cool, and I try to lure them to the dark side.
All right.
So I love poetry because I think it encapsulates such complex emotions, such complex feelings about the world in ways that are really short and really manageable. When you look at a whole long novel, it's a little tough to take on that challenge of a novel to explore some theme or another. But when you have something like a little short page and you're like, okay, 10 lines, I can get through 10 lines. That little inner psychology allows you to kind of take on that challenge. But beyond that, what I love about poetry is that it makes us think about the world in really interestingly different ways. My favorite kinds of poems to read are ones that I'll pick up and the title will be something like, Ant on a log at sunrise. And then you read the poem and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to change my life. Like, it has so many hidden meanings. And it shows you how many parts of the world that you would overlook otherwise can reveal bigger truths and messages about the human experience. So I think it's really cool.
I think what has now destroy is a bad word, but destroyed poetry for me was English class.
Oh, I know.
Well, same thing with reading, because like I am already a very temperamental reader. I don't like it when books contain a bajillion adjectives to describe something as simple as like a door. It's a door. Move on with the sentence. I don't care. And I feel like I'm fine with poetry so long as I don't have one, an assignment or an essay having to describe what it means, and two, analyzing every single word of it 24/7 for homework. I think that if I were to just read it by myself, I'd like it a lot. And I just feel like it's the same thing with reading. Like we did a book of Mice and Men. I hate that book now because in 8th grade English class, we spent 3 months breaking it apart, essays, paragraphs. I'm like, I hate this. Enough. I don't care. Move on. So I'm curious. You are a very English driven person. Did English, would you say, help with your love for poetry or sort of annoy you with it a bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I sympathize with you a lot. So I started liking poetry. Well, the first time ever I was in 4th grade, and that was in school. So I guess in a way you could say school was the impetus that started my love of poetry, because before that, my dad used to read me Shel Silverstein poems, which are really silly books of poems for kids.
Yep.
But the first poem I ever really looked at was in school. It was Stopping by Woods in a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. And I couldn't articulate it, but I loved the way that language transformed just a moment in time into something special that I could save forever. So in that way, I think English class in school is an important place to present poetry, because if I as a 4th grader hadn't encountered that, who knows how long it would have been before I'd been able to come to it on my own. So I think it has a place in English class and in school to introduce it to people. However, I am in agreement with you that the way that poetry is discussed / introduced in school needs to be edited, because even though I first kind of met poetry, you would say, in 4th grade, I didn't fall in love with poetry until Poetry Out Loud. And that was, freshman, sophomore year for me. And that was something I did outside of class because I was able to go into, if you're not familiar with the program, you go into this big anthology online, you read through as many poems or as few poems as you want until you find some that resonate with you. You pick out 2 and you memorize them. And then you recite them in front of your audience, and kind of the rest is history from there. So in that sense, I was able to find poetry myself and find myself in these poems not being directed by an English teacher. And if I didn't understand a poem, if I didn't like a poem, I moved on. I didn't choose it.
Right.
So I think freedom of choice needs to be reintroduced to poetry. As part of Poetry Out Loud, I was lucky enough to win some grants for the school for more poetry books and things like that. And I talked a lot with Mrs. Johnston, who was kind of my go-to person at the school as far as poetry goes. And we talked about how we didn't want this to just be more money to fund the same old of poetry. So instead, we tried kind of 2 different strategies that hopefully will grow into the next couple of years. One is creating these little poetry bites. And as an AP Lit class, we filmed some poetry lessons of us spending 5 minutes analyzing a poem and getting the real kind of visceral emotions out of it, but not beating it over the head, like you were saying, can kill poetry for people. And then the other is creating a little poetry corner up in the library of Norwell High School, which hopefully kind of debuts in the fall, which would be going to be a big comfy chair with stacks of poetry books around it, and creating this whole environment that people can come to and choose to explore poetry in the way it makes sense for them. So long answer to say that I agree with you. Poetry needs to be reinvented a little bit in school.
Well, one, I'm very excited to see these changes that are coming. But last year, for me, sophomore year, I had, well, actually both years I've had Lee Lewis. Love her. I love Miss Lewis. Fantastic teacher. I want her next year. Like that happening is probably slim to none, but I want her. She's awesome. And what she did, speaking about teaching poetry, is she did give us poems that she taught. We didn't go on them for more than, I think, 2 days. One was like, read it in class and then evaluate it at home, and they'll go over evaluations in class and then move on. But the last assignment was we taught our own poems that we chose to the class, so that she didn't kill us with evaluations. We did it ourselves, so we got our own emotional response out of it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was also a very smart way of doing that, because then that didn't destroy the poem that we did, which I forget what it was. Springtime or something? Something about spring. No. Everything green is gold. No, not everything green is gold. Something like that.
Nature's First Green is Gold, Barbara Frost.
Yes. Good poem. And we didn't go over it 1,000 times, and so it wasn't bad. But you mentioned that you took an AP Lit. So you also took AP French.
Yep.
Which I could never do.
Yes, you could.
I'm literally not doing French next year. That was the first thing I told my guidance counselor. I'm like, I'm not doing French. But no offense to Miftal or any of the other students. I don't enjoy French that much. I did it because my mom spoke French. But it's just too much. It's just annoying to me. I'm sure to you, it's super fun. And you took your interest in poetry and English, but you also take another language. Has French helped you in English, or has English helped you in French in any ways? How are the two coexisted with one another?
Great question. I love the languagey questions. So I would say it's definitely a reciprocal relationship, because in English, there are lots of things that I took for granted in the way that I spoke that French has made me more aware of, specifically grammar. I used to hate grammar. I would rather watch paint dry than do grammar exercises.
Yes.
But after French, I have a more appreciation for it. And now sometimes I can even think it's a little bit of nerdy fun, which I'm almost embarrassed to tell you on this cool podcast here. But things like tenses in French. I never really considered tense as a conscious choice in English, but in French, when you have the participle and the past participle and the present participle and the imperfect, all these different tenses that you select to craft your meaning, it really, how many? Oh gosh, I couldn't even count.
No, I said there's too many.
Oh, too many, yes, there are too many to count.
You need one past tense. You don't need like 5.
But see, that's the thing, that it's exciting to me as the older I got in high school, the more English became my art form and not just something I did. So French helped me with that because I had to think more consciously about how I'm saying what I'm saying, which let me take that same consciousness and apply it to English. And also vice versa. Well, I guess this isn't vice versa, more French helping me in English, which is that what I love about French is that it forces you to think of things differently. For example, my favorite example of this is that the way you say, I miss you in French, you say, vous me manquez, you are missing to me. And that's a slight switch in meaning. Instead of I miss you, where the emphasis is on me, I like in French how it changes to you are missing to me. So again, it helped me be conscious about my language and appreciate the nuances in language much more.
It sounds nicer too.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the French, literally, there are so many tiny grammar rules that are only in there to make sentences sound nice, which I appreciate.
Yes, well, yeah, it's a beautiful language. It's too hard for me to figure out. It's the gendered words that I never remember. Like un ordinateur or like un whatever an un word is. I don't know.
Une feuille de papier.
Yeah, that. I've the second I was in school, I just like French is done. Yeah, well, it's because then that changes everything else. It changes like how the verb looks, it depending if it has to agree. Like it's a lot for me to try and remember. And I technically, so I was in French 4, but I technically had 5 full years of French. So like people in Norwell had 4 1/4 because they had that weird thing in the 6th grade. I didn't have that.
Yep.
You chose a language in 6th grade and you stuck with it. So I took French the whole 6th grade. So I had French 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so I had all that. But I learned like basic French in 6. 7, we didn't do anything. We literally, he taught Passage Composé horribly, and we watched Ratatouille the whole year. I am not joking. We watched Ratatouille about 5 times. I'm literally not. So I didn't learn anything. 8th grade, she tried to teach us directions. It didn't work well. And like up and down, left, right, under, and imparfait, which she did not explain well at all. Then, trying not to offend any normal teachers, but freshman year, I had Mejdi, leaving that one alone. Just that year was a year. And then I had this year, which was my first real French class in 5 years. And it was an honors class. I was an honors because we didn't take any tests in freshman year. So I didn't have any assignments to grade me on. So I'm in this class and she's just like, all right, let's get started. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know what's happening. And so I'm learning 5 years of French in 1 year, and it was way too much for me. But so you have done English, French, and you also, when you graduated, so you had the pink rope, which is the music rope, the music color. And you had a picture of Mr. O'Brien on your Instagram. So I was actually not entirely familiar with your music, the aspect of your music, the music aspect of you. Got it.
There we go.
It's the morning. Just
it's tough at Daybreak, I'm gonna tell you.
So what instrument did you play when you did music?
Yeah. So in band, I was a percussionist. I played any percussion instrument that was out there. You know, got my xylophone, got my melodic percussion, got my auxiliary percussion with your snare drum, your bass drum, your gong, your timpani, all that good stuff. Loved it. Had so much fun. But actually, my primary instrument is my voice. I'm actually a singer. And I actually auditioned for Tri-M, the Music Honor Society, on voice because, funnily enough, I didn't really come to percussion to play percussion. I came to percussion to be in band because in 8th grade, all the people that I thought were cool were in band and seemed really awesome. And at lunch, they'd always have all these inside band jokes. And I really wanted to be a part of it. And I was in chorus, but wanted more music. So I went to Mary Jo Running, love her. And I said, what can I play that I can be in band this year. I've never touched an instrument other than the piano, which there wasn't really an option to play piano in the band. So she said, how about monkey cymbals? And I said, yes. So in 8th grade, I started playing the little tiny monkey cymbals and whatever other little dinky percussion instruments I needed. They had a triangle. I played a mean triangle. Yeah, but I've sang since I was a human, you know. When I was 4, I was my first.
Oh, so to be clear, you weren't a human before you were 4? To be clear?
No. Then I'm just like a slightly humanoid sack of flesh and water, walking around a chubby little. Yeah, no. So when I was 4, I was in my first musical.
Mm-hmm.
We Shrek the Musical. I was a fairy. I had one line. And I said, even the Wizard of Oz couldn't clean up this dump. So, girl boss from way back, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just fell in love with that. And that was really my first entree into the world of the arts. And all the poetry and English stuff came a little later, I guess.
I'm very surprised you remember that, actually, from...
It's like burned in there.
And so you auditioned for so actually, question for you, because I actually don't know this. Do you have to re-audition for Triumph every year, or just like one-time thing when you're done?
Yeah, it's a one-time thing.
Oh, okay. So did you ever sing in band? Because I know Abby Keefe sometimes sings the songs that we do. Was that like ever something you did?
No. Well, actually, no. I just lied. I did do that once. Never in high school band, but in 8th grade, I was also in the jazz band, which was like the Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. grind, which was so fun, but a grind. And yeah, arriving at NMS before the Daybreak was something I don't want to go back to. But it was really cool because there was like a big outdoor jazz concert at the end of the year, if you remember, and I sang Adele's. What did I sing? I think I sang Rolling in the Deep.
Wow.
No, not Rolling in the Deep. It was, Hello. I sang Hello. Hello.
You sang Adele's Hello?
I did, yes. And it was...
That's a hard song.
It was a toughie. It was a big toughie. But it was one of the most fun times I've ever had in my life, singing with this whole jazz ensemble behind me. It was... probably looking back, it wasn't like a jazz ensemble, but to me, I was on top of the world. It was so cool. Live audience, whole 9 yards.
Wow. Sorry, 1 second. There's a person.
Oh, hello, person.
I don't know what he's doing. Apologies.
No worries.
We're gonna wrap up in a second though, because we actually are running. I promised you 20 minutes, so we are 20 minutes and 43 seconds.
I will donate 43 seconds of my valuable time to this program. I'm okay with that. Fine. I give you 45. That's it though.
Okay, then I owe you about 15 seconds now. We're back. So was I saying something?
We were talking about singing and Adele.
Oh yes, I was saying how that's a really hard song. I actually do very much like Adele, and in 8th grade, applaud you for singing that. That is a really hard song.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, as I told you earlier, we are, and I would love to talk to you for more because this is amazing. Probably one of my favorite episodes that we've had. Sarah's great. You were fantastic. But we are unfortunately out of time, actually a little bit over. But I would like to thank you so much for finding time. I know you left for New Hampshire?
Maine. I was in Maine yesterday. I'll be heading to something for college in a little bit. So crazy busy, but I was overjoyed to be able to come here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've had so much fun talking to you. I think you are such a cool, interesting, and very mature, upstanding guy. So it was an honor to be on your program.
Well, thank you, Rose. I wanted to get people who have graduated, but I didn't know if they had time. And so I was like, does Rose have time? Because I wanted to get you on. And I'm so happy that I saw you like 2 days ago. I'm like, geez,
it was fate.
Yeah, I was like, this is the best coincidence ever. And I was so happy. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Have fun in Florida.
I will.
Cannot
Have
wait.
fun at college.
Oh, I will. Trust me. All right. I will see you later, Nick. Let me know if you need anything else I can do. I'd be happy
Of
to.
course.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rose.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rose. All right, so that was my wonderful interview with Rose Hansen. Fantastic person. Wish her the best of luck at college. And that will be it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you've enjoyed the past episodes. And yeah, so we are out of time here, unfortunately. I really do wish I could have had longer, but we are on time constraints, unfortunately. So I will see you all next time at Daybreak, and I hope that you're looking forward to it. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.